I'm gonna dodge the current news regarding Dungeons and Dragons and Hasbro and the financial situations they're in, because I don't really want to make topical videos. So I'm gonna launch into something that's a little more timeless. But I am thinking about it, and I'm laughing. So today we're talking about kingmaking. What is kingmaking? Kingmaking is a thing that happens in competitive games, particularly games with 3 or more players. It is what happens when one player decides to make another player win. Sometimes this is like a codified part of the game. Like there's politicking involved, and so you have like purchased another player's loyalty, and they are going to help you win. Sometimes that happens in the mechanics. Sometimes it is just as simple as like, I'm going to make whatever decisions I am able to make that happen to be in your favor. And there's a variety of reasons why this might happen. And I'm going to go over a few of them and say which ones I think are legitimate and which ones are not. So refer back to Sabrock's laws for being an honorable gamer. What's the first law? Value winning. Value what the game tells you to value. In a competitive game, we value winning, right? There must be a winner, and I want it to be me. Why? Because the game says I should want it to be me. Not because there's any value in it. Once the game is done, no one cares who won. Well, a little while after the game is over, no one cares who won. Immediately after, like, you better believe we care who won. No, we care who won because, or we care about winning because the game tells us to care about winning. This is being an honorable gamer. A lot of games really break down if you don't follow this rule. So I care about winning, and I go into a multiplayer game. And what could drive me to make someone else win? Well, chief that comes to mind is, or the foremost reason that comes to mind is that I can't win anymore. Whatever is happening, the game is going to be over before I have a chance to recover from whatever situation I'm in. I've put myself in a bad position, got really unlucky, whatever it may be, I can't win anymore. But I still have some power in the game. And so I can exercise my agency as a player by deciding who I want to win if it can't be me. This I consider to be a generally legitimate reason to do kingmaking. The player to my right has been a real dingus to me the whole game. The player to my left has been really cool. I want the player to my left to win because he was nice to me. This can be part of an ongoing meta if you play games with the same group of people over and over, where you want to reward people for being nice to you and punish people for not being nice to you. In particular, a lot of groups that play together regularly, even in games where you are allowed to say, go back on a non-binding deal. You'll see in competitive games a lot non-binding deals. That is like, I am going to make a promise for the future, but the game does not enforce that promise. So I'm allowed to step it back when it is convenient to me to do so, as long as it hasn't actually happened yet. In groups that play together regularly, that almost never happens in my experience. Every group I've played in that does these kinds of like multiplayer competitive games, we develop a meta where we're always 100% honest. We always abide by our deals if possible. Sometimes circumstances change. Now I can't abide by the deal. Oops. But, because no one likes a liar, right? Don't lie to your friends, right? Yeah. Now, sometimes lying is part of the game. That may be different. But in general, like, if you are not being compelled to lie by the mechanics of the game, no one wants to be called out as a liar because everyone will remember that about you forever. So you don't lie. In the same way, you want to sort of build in these mechanics, or not these mechanics. You want to build in this this association of, if you screw me, I'm going to screw you back. That sort of like prickliness, that I am dangerous to mess with. You might stop me from winning, but then I will stop you from winning too. So don't do that to me, right? Ignoring the fact that there must be a winner generally speaking, one winner. And I am speaking sort of codedly about Twilight Imperium. I have a Twilight Imperium game coming up, so I've been thinking about player politics, strategies therein, and there's a lot of times when like any alliance between players is inherently temporary. There can only be one winner. So when someone tries to betray me or tries to encroach on me, tries to do something bad to me, and I don't like it, I don't want them to do that, my first instinct is to say, hey, if you do this, I'm bringing you down with me. Like, if you do this, I can't win anymore. Like, you can stop me from winning, surely, but I will also stop you from winning. I'll make this guy win instead. I can give him resources and victory points and make him win. That I think is a legitimate way to kingmake. Under no circumstances is it cool to kingmake if you can still win. If you have a path to victory and you think, I'm getting kind of tired of this game, it'd be over faster if I help someone else win than if I try to win myself. Because I have to, in order for me to win, I have to like slow the game down to give myself time to catch up. As long as there is a path to victory, kingmaking is bad manners. That is dishonorable gameplay. It's understandable sometimes, particularly in a game as big, as long, as emotionally draining as Twilight Imperium can be, to be tired of the game and want it over. I understand that position. I just don't agree with it. I think players in a game like that are beholden to, statutes of honor to continue to value the game. Because, if you get into a game that is 9 hours long and you start getting gassed out around hour 6, you've got 3 more hours to go. But if you decide to throw the game at hour 6, that's 3 hours of wasted time or actually it's kind of the entire game is wasted because, everyone else was expecting the game to last the full duration and you're like, I'm done with this. Ruin it for everybody. Which is, I understand getting like tired of a situation and just wanting the easiest, fastest way out. Is still not good. And if you're the kind of person who does that, I would suggest not playing games where that's going to happen. Kingmaking can happen sometimes in games where... So, yeah, hang on. Let me gather my thoughts. So there's is a kind of it's kind of a dichotomy, isn't it? You either can still win or you cannot still win. If you cannot still win, kingmaking is fine. If you can still win, kingmaking is not fine. And this really just does come down to Sabrock's first law of honorable gaming, to value winning. Value what the game tells you to value. And so, the specific circumstances where that can come up are going to vary from game to game. In Twilight Imperium, it usually is pretty obvious if you have a shot of winning by about the halfway mark. And so at that point, it becomes a matter of politicking, I tend to feel kind of bad about asking for people to support me in that. Like, if I'm in contention to win and I can get people on board with me winning over, whoever else is in contention for winning, it feels bad to me as a player to do that. We're like, give me your support for the throne being a promissory note that gives someone a victory point as long as they hold it, and they lose it as soon as they do something bad against you. So the quick and dirty of what a support for the throne is basically, it's a king-making mechanic that is in the game, where you can give someone else a victory point. And anyone can do this. And it can be to the point where I'm 3 points of winning. My competitor is, say, 2 points away from winning. And we're coming into the last round, and I think, well, I want to win, So I'm going to ask 3 people for their support for the throne to just make me win automatically without giving the other player a chance to score objectives or anything like that. it feels really bad. It's fully legal. It's full, like in the game. It's a thing you absolutely can do, and the game even straight up says, yes, this is a thing you can do. It feels bad to me to do it that way for some reason. I'm not 100% sure what it is. I mean, like, honestly, it's a legitimate win condition, and I'm not saying it isn't. It just feels incorrect because it's a king-making mechanic. And in general, while I've said that there are legitimate times to do king-making, in general, I don't like it. I don't like one player deciding to make another player win. It feels more correct to struggle the entire time, to do the objectives, to do like the normal victory condition, whatever that may mean to the individual. And like support for the thrones can get passed around early when it is unclear who is going to win. You know, that's in my heart, that is the way that support for the thrones work. You give it out to someone basically to secure their loyalty, because they lose it if they basically try to enter any of your space, if they activate a system that has anything of yours in it. So it's sort of an assurance, like here's a victory point that you will lose if you attack me at all. And most people won't, because victory points are very valuable, and usually they're more valuable than what you would gain by attacking somebody. So that kind of thing early on in the game, when it's unclear who's going to come out on top, that I think is the best use. That feels the best for these support for the throne mechanics. Using it to make someone win immediately. That is, like, I know that if I give you the support for the throne, the game is over now and you win. That feels bad, even in a situation where the person who is, thinking about giving it can't win. I'm 5 points behind, minimum round or two out from winning. The game is going to be over this round. Do I just give you this and choose to make you win? That feels bad. And it shouldn't, right? It shouldn't. It shouldn't feel bad if you are engaging in table politics in a game where table politics is a major factor. It shouldn't feel bad, but it does. I'm not 100% sure why. I haven't really dug into that. But yeah. So Kingmaker mechanics they're acceptable in specific circumstances. If I were designing a board game, I would try to avoid them if possible. They feel bad to me. They feel it's too easy to abuse, for one thing. And for another thing, they don't feel great even when used appropriately. Except in specific circumstances where they might feel a little bit better. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Kingmaking.